She said, "I'm pressing abuse charges unless you pay." I said, "Do it." Then I submitted 6 hours of security footage to the police. Her false report charges stuck. Welcome to seductive dreams. It would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel and like the video. Now, without further ado, let's go. I'm 35 male, sitting in a silent apartment that feels both entirely mine and deeply contaminated. The last 48 hours have felt like a slow-motion car crash, the kind where you're lucid for every single second of impact. It's a strange feeling being the target of an extinction-level event and walking away with nothing but a clear head and a hard drive full of evidence. My girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend Qley, 32, and I had been together for 3 years. We lived in my condo, which I owned long before I met her. On the surface, things were good. We had fun. We traveled. Our friends meshed well. But beneath the surface, there was always a current of transactionalism from her side. Little things. Her car breaking down and the solution being me buying her a new one, which I did, putting it in my name with the verbal agreement she'd pay me back. The way our money was always my money, and her money from a decently paying marketing job was always her money. I'd flagged it internally, but I loved her, so I made excuses. The catalyst for the end was my annual bonus, a significant one. I'd earmarked it for investments and a kitchen renovation. When I told her my plans, her face fell. She informed me, already planned a month-long trip to Southeast Asia for us, a shopping spree, and a down payment on a luxury watch for herself. It wasn't a discussion. It was a presentation of a budget for my bonus. I finally put my foot down. I told her no. I explained that we needed to be smarter with our finances, that her spending was becoming a serious issue, and that I wasn't a walking ATM. The conversation held right in our living room started tense and quickly devolved. She accused me of being controlling, ungenerous, of financially abusing her by not letting her spend my money as she saw fit. It was absurd. A masterclass in gaslighting. When she saw I wouldn't budge, her entire demeanor shifted. The faux outrage evaporated, replaced by something cold and reptilian. "Qley, so that's it. You're just cutting me off?" "Me? This isn't cutting you off, Qley. This is me saying you can't spend my entire bonus on a whim. We need to be partners in this. Now I see what this is. You're breaking up with me. If you think a relationship is contingent on you having unfettered access to my bank account, then maybe we should be." She stood there for a moment, her eyes calculating. Then she delivered the line that changed everything. "Fine. You want me gone? It'll cost you. I've given you 3 years of my life. I need $50,000 to get back on my feet. Consider it a severance package." I actually laughed, a short, sharp, incredulous sound. "You're insane. I'm not paying you to break up with me." Her face hardened into a mask of pure malice. "You will, or I'll go to the police and tell them what you did to me tonight, how you got angry about money, threw me against the wall, and threatened me. A man with your job in this building. An abuse charge would ruin you. They always believe the woman." My blood ran cold, but my mind went strangely, perfectly clear. The shock was so profound it burned away all the anger and hurt, leaving only icy resolve. I looked at her, this woman I thought I loved, and saw a complete stranger, a predator, and I remembered my greatest asset. About 3 months ago, there was a string of car break-ins in our building's garage. It spooked me enough to upgrade my home security. I didn't just get a door alarm. I had 4 high-definition wide-angle cameras professionally installed. They covered the front entryway, the kitchen, the main living area, and the balcony door. They recorded high-quality video and audio on a 24/7 loop to a local hard drive with cloud backup. I'd told Qley about them. She'd called it overkill and then promptly forgot they existed, but I never did. Every second of our conversation, every fabricated accusation she was now threatening me with had been recorded from 2 different angles. I looked her dead in the eye. My voice was unnaturally calm. "Me, do it." Blinks thrown off. "What did you say?" "Me?" I said, "Do it. Go to the police. File your report. Do not pass. Go. Do not collect $200. Go straight there and tell them your story. I will not be giving you a single cent. You think I'm bluffing." "I'll do it, Alex. I'll ruin you." "Me? That is your prerogative. Now please pack a bag and leave my home." She stared at me, searching for a crack in my composure, for the fear she expected to see. She found none. She was so confident in her threat, so certain of its power that my calm refusal simply didn't compute. It was the last thing she expected. With a final venomous glare, she stormed into the bedroom, packed a single suitcase with her most expensive belongings, and slammed the door on her way out. The moment the door closed, I moved. It wasn't panic, it was procedure. I went to my office, opened the security software on my computer, and isolated the footage. I started the export for the entire relevant period from the moment I got home from work until the moment she left. 6 hours and 14 minutes of pristine 4K video and crystal clear audio. I saved it to a new encrypted external hard drive. Then I saved it again to a second drive. Next, I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but the top criminal defense attorney in the city, a man a colleague had on retainer. I explained the situation concisely. He listened without interruption. Lawyer, she made the threat explicitly and the cameras recorded it. Me, yes, every word. Good. Do not contact her. Do not respond to her, her family, or her friends. Do nothing when the police call you, and they will. You will say only this: I will be happy to cooperate fully, but I will not provide a statement until my lawyer is present. Then you will call me. We let her walk into the trap she set for herself. So now I wait. The hard drive sits on my desk like a black monolith, holding the truth. She wanted to play the most dangerous game imaginable. She had no idea I was holding the rulebook, the scorecard, and the instant replay. Update 1. It took 4 days. 4 days of nerve-wracking silence where I started to wonder if she'd thought better of it. But a person willing to make that kind of threat isn't wired for self-preservation or logic. They're wired for escalation. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. A detective from the city police department asking me to come to the precinct to discuss a complaint made against me by Qley. His tone was professionally neutral, but the implication was heavy. I followed my lawyer's instructions to the letter. I will be happy to cooperate fully, but I will not provide a statement until my lawyer is present. I called my lawyer, Mr. Harrison, and we arranged to meet them the next day. I walked into the precinct with Mr. Harrison, the encrypted hard drive in my briefcase. We were shown to a small windowless interview room. 2 detectives sat across the table. The lead detective, a man named Miller, laid it out. Qley had given them a masterful performance. She claimed our argument over money had turned violent. She alleged I'd shoved her, that she'd hit her head against the drywall, and that I'd screamed in her face, that if she ever tried to leave me, I'd make sure she had nothing. She'd even produced a faint bruise on her arm, which she claimed came from me grabbing her. She had cried, she had acted terrified, and she had been utterly convincing. They had taken her statement, photographed the bruise, and opened a felony domestic assault investigation. As Miller spoke, Mr. Harrison just listened, occasionally jotting a note. I kept my expression neutral, my hands calm on the table in front of me. I felt a surreal sense of detachment, like watching a movie where I was the main character. So, Mr. Davies, that's a serious allegation. We'd like to hear your side of the story. Mr. Harrison spoke first. Before my client says anything, we have something we'd like you to see. Detective, this is an encrypted hard drive containing a complete video and audio recording of the entire evening in question from approximately 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., captured by a professionally installed home security system. I placed the drive on the table. The detectives exchanged a look. This was clearly not a standard development. You have the whole thing on video? Yes. Every moment from the moment I got home to the moment she left. They took the drive and led us to another room with a computer set up. A tech officer plugged it in. I provided the password and he brought the files up. I directed him to the main living room camera feed, time-stamped, to the beginning of our argument. For the next hour, the 4 of us watched the entire event unfold in pristine high definition. We watched the calm conversation about my bonus. We watched it turn into an argument with Qley's voice rising in anger while mine remained level. We watched her accusations of financial abuse. Then came the critical moments. The video clearly showed me standing a good 5 trillions away from her at all times, never once making a move toward her. It showed me standing with my arms crossed as she delivered her ultimatum. $50,000 or I'll press charges. The audio was perfect. Her every threat, every word of her extortion attempt was captured. The camera even caught the assault. It showed her storming past me towards the bedroom. As she did, she violently swung her own arm into the doorframe right where the bruise was. She barely broke stride. It was a deliberate, self-inflicted act. The video then showed her leaving, suitcase hand, without a single mark on her. We watched my calm do it, and her shocked reaction. We watched her leave. The entire narrative she had spun, the entire foundation of their felony investigation crumbled to dust in real time on that monitor. When the footage ended, there was a long silence in the room. Detective Miller slowly turned away from the screen and looked at me, then at Mr. Harrison. His professional neutrality was gone, replaced by a look of grim fury. Not at me. Mill! Holy hell! His partner just shook his head, looking disgusted. She hit her own arm on the doorframe, and we have her on tape trying to extort him. Mr. Harrison leaned forward. As you can see, detectives, my client is not the perpetrator here. He is the victim of an egregious and malicious false report and a clear-cut case of attempted extortion. We are, of course, prepared to cooperate fully with any investigation you choose to open into Miss Albright's conduct. The entire tone of the meeting shifted. I was no longer a suspect. I was the primary witness in a new case. They took a formal statement from me documenting everything. They kept the hard drive as evidence. As we left the precinct, Miller shook my hand and said, "I'm sorry you had to go through this, Mr. Davies. We'll be in touch." The smear campaign began that evening. Qley, blissfully unaware of the footage, had clearly gone on the offensive. Mutual friends started texting me. "Dude, I can't believe you put your hands on her. Qley is a wreck. You need to get help for your anger." Her sister posted a vague but pointed message on Facebook about cowards who hurt women and the sisters who help them heal. I unfriended and blocked them all. I deactivated my social media accounts, let them scream into the void. The truth was now in the hands of the justice system, moving with the slow, crushing weight of a glacier. Update 2. The wheels of justice can turn slowly, but when they have high-definition fuel, they move with terrifying efficiency. The week following my meeting with the detectives was quiet on the legal front, but loud everywhere else. The whispers and accusations from Qley's circle continued, but I followed my lawyer's advice. Absolute silence. I focused on work, hit the gym, and tried to scrub the feeling of my apartment being a crime scene from my mind. The first sign that the tables had officially turned came via a call from Mr. Harrison. The district attorney's office had reviewed the evidence. They were not only dropping the domestic assault investigation against me, but were also pressing forward with charges against Qley, Mr. Harrison. They're hitting her with 2 counts, filing a false police report, which is a gross misdemeanor, and attempted theft by extortion, which is a felony. The video is their entire case. It's ironclad. Hearing those words felt like a physical weight being lifted off my chest. This wasn't just going away. It was boomeranging back on her with the full force of the law. The next part I learned about from a mutual acquaintance, who, to their credit, called to apologize after hearing what was really going on. Apparently, 2 detectives had shown up at the friend's apartment where Qley was staying. They hadn't come to offer victim support services. They came to question her. According to the story, Qley was completely blindsided. She likely assumed they were there to get more details for her case against me. She reportedly launched into another tearful performance. The detectives let her talk, let her dig the hole deeper, and then they calmly informed her that they had video and audio of the entire night. The friend said Qley's face went white as a sheet. She collapsed into a blubbering mess. The chaotic mix of denials, excuses, I was emotional, I didn't mean it, and pathetic attempts to backtrack. The detectives were unmoved. They read her rights and informed her she was being charged. The fallout was immediate. Her flying monkeys, the friends and family who had been so quick to attack me, suddenly went silent. Her sister's self-righteous social media posts vanished. The narrative had shattered. Then came the dirty tricks phase, a pathetic last-ditch effort. My office HR department received an anonymous email. It was a rambling, incoherent mess alleging I was an unstable and aggressive person, a danger in the workplace, and that they should investigate my history of violence. Thankfully, I had preemptively spoken to my boss in HR the day after I went to the police. I didn't give them all the sordid details, but I informed them that a former partner was making false allegations against me as part of a difficult breakup, that I had provided exculpatory evidence to the police, and that the matter was being handled legally. My company thankfully stood by me. They reviewed the anonymous email, recognized it as a transparent attempt at harassment, and dismissed it, adding a copy to the file my lawyer was building. The final act of desperation came from Qley's mother. She called me weeping. Her mom, Alex, "I don't know what happened, but you can't do this to her. You'll ruin her life. She's a good girl who made a mistake. Please just tell the DA you want to drop it for the sake of the love you once had." My voice was cold, devoid of the warmth she remembered. "Your daughter attempted to extort me for $50,000 and then filed a false felony police report that could have sent me to prison and destroyed my life. This is not a mistake. This is a crime. The matter is in the hands of the state. I have nothing more to say to you." I hung up and blocked her number. The audacity was breathtaking. They didn't care about the truth or what Qley had tried to do to me. They only cared that she was now facing consequences for her actions. My lawyer sent a formal cease and desist letter to Qley's new criminal defense attorney, demanding that she and her entire family halt all contact and harassment immediately. The message was clear. The games were over. Every desperate move they made was just adding to the mountain of evidence against her, painting a picture of a manipulative and malicious person for the prosecutor. She had built her own cage, and now the door was swinging shut. Final update. It's been 7 months since my life was almost detonated by a lie. The legal process is a marathon, not a sprint, but it's finally over. The divorce from a reality I thought I knew is finalized. Qley's case never went to trial. It couldn't. The 6 hours of security footage were irrefutable. Her lawyer, a public defender who apparently looked exhausted every time he met with her, knew he had nothing to fight with. Any defense they could have concocted, that she was confused, that she felt threatened, was completely contradicted by her own words and actions on that video. The audio of her cold, calculated extortion threat was the nail in the coffin. The DA's office was aggressive. False accusations of this nature undermine the entire system and make it harder for real victims to be believed. They wanted to make an example of her. Faced with the certainty of a conviction at trial, Qley took a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to one count of filing a false police report and a lesser charge of attempted grand larceny, the state's equivalent of her extortion attempt. The felony was reduced to a misdemeanor in the deal, but the consequences were still life-altering. The sentence came down last month. No jail time, which was expected for a first-time offender, but she received 3 years of formal probation, a $5,000 fine, plus court costs, 300 hours of mandatory community service, a court-mandated psychological evaluation and anger management course, the irony of which is not lost on me. A permanent criminal record. The aftermath for her has been a study in consequences. The criminal record has made her unemployable in her marketing field, which requires background checks. She lost her job shortly after she was charged. The friend she was staying with kicked her out, unwilling to live with the drama. Her sister has distanced herself. Last I heard, Qley had to move back in with her parents in her hometown, a humiliating retreat for a woman who prided herself on her sophisticated city life. She has, by all accounts, learned nothing. The narrative she spins to the few who will still listen is one of victimhood, how her ex-boyfriend used a secret recording to twist her words and ruin her life over a simple mistake she made when she was emotional. The lack of self-awareness is staggering. As for me, the past 7 months have been expensive, stressful, and deeply disillusioning. The legal fees were substantial, but worth every penny. Clearing my name was priceless. The experience forced me to take a hard look at my own blind spots, my willingness to ignore red flags in the name of love. But I'm better now. The apartment is finally just my home again. I did renovate the kitchen. I went on a trip by myself, and it was incredible. I've reconnected with friends I'd neglected. I haven't dated, and I won't for a while. The trust that requires feels a million miles away. There was no shouting match revenge, no satisfying moment of me confronting her. The most satisfying part was the cold, indifferent process of the law. My revenge was simply allowing the truth in all its high-definition clarity to be seen. I just opened the door, and she walked right into a cell of her own making. She tried to burn my world down for money, and instead she just incinerated her own future. And the most damning thing of all, it was all on camera. A permanent record.